What's going on, everyone? Today is November 1st. It is Wednesday. It is your midweek review. I hope everyone's doing all right. I guess I don't really have any announcements. Henry, you got anything?
No, not much on my end. It's been a nice week so far. Still lots of high impact news remaining for the remainder of the week. So if you do choose to be engaged, just be safe and be responsible. It is the NFP week, so ideally by AM session as of this morning, you'd be done for the week. So just keep that in mind and consider that it's a good opportunity to just observe and tape read the remainder of the week.
Alrighty.
Otherwise, yeah, we'll jump right into it.
Dollar. So same thing. Nothing's really changed. Still looking for buy side at 107.40, 400. We pushed back up into the upper portion above the consequent encroachment of this rejection block. You can see that we obviously from this previous week's candle went into the discount, back into this BISI. We've delivered higher. Really focused on the daily right now. Couple things to note. We did push through, but you can see that we still have not closed above that, right? We've got no closure above that weekly rejection block, right? So I'm looking at this weekly candle right here, and I'm waiting to see if we can start to get some daily closure there. Today, we did not get our closure. Couple things to note going into the week, prior half. Yesterday, we dipped down into the mean threshold of this order block, right? That's where you're getting this equilibrium, right? This equilibrium is the previous week's equilibrium. Note the candle body closure, right? We still, although we dipped into the discount, into this mean threshold of this order block, we did not close on Monday and or on Tuesday below that. So it shows me that we're still bullish. And really going into the second half of the week, I could see us potentially go into the mean threshold of this order block, revisit this BISI, and then potentially make our way higher. But like I said, I'm still waiting for us to potentially close above that candle or that consequent encroachment, right? That's my main focus, right? Until we can really close above that, I'm not gonna, expect a quick and heavy run higher. Once we do get that closure, I expect it to kind of be low resistance, but you're starting to kind of get that high resistance. If you start to note, when Henry talks about ES today and NQ, notice how DXY did not technically drastically go lower or anything. If anything, we actually went higher, and now we're just kind of coming off of it, but we didn't just go lower. And ES actually went higher today. So shows you just a mixed market, right? I think, from my take, even before Henry goes into it, I'm thinking ES is just reaching a little bit higher while DXY just is kind of hanging around. But I think that you'll start to see EX find a high and continuously go lower when DXY does kind of finally find a low and get some closure on this consequent encroachment of that rejection block. But really, main focus, that's kind of what I'm looking for right now, going into the second part of the week. Really mainly focused on the mean threshold of this candle, call it 106,400, and then really just this BISI, right? I would prefer, now that we've offered sell side and buy side and completely filled it, I would prefer the top half of it to stay relatively sensitive. So really looking to a low to form in around 106,400 to 106,500, 106,550. But that's kind of my main focus going into this week. I would prefer Tuesday's low to hold. So I'm curious to see if we can hold Tuesday's low going into the rest of the week. But it is it is NFP, so anything can happen. Other than that, that's really it for me. Nothing really has changed on my end with regards to DXY. I think ES is just getting a little bit deeper retracement just because of everything that's going on. Other than that, that's it for me.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I'll jump into ES quickly. Just a couple things to note here. Not a whole lot has changed from our last discussion. Just seeing a little bit of a deeper retracement than anticipated. which makes sense, just seeing that ES and dollar and Nasdaq as well are moving in tandem today rather than with that inverse relationship that we'd like to see. But I'll just start on the monthly chart here on ES. You can see we still have a remaining portion open here between September's low and now we just opened up the month of November. So it's possible to see a retracement back up into the low of September and then into this wick as well. So two areas you'd want to have marked out. They're just going to be the low, and we'll call that monthly immediate rebalance. And then you want to have marked out the consequent encroachment of this wick as well. And then I'll jump down into a weekly chart from here. There's a small SIBI as well on the weekly chart, just above the previous week's high and this week's low. Right here. So that low and that high, there's a small gap in between there where only sell side was delivered. So in this retracement, if we are going to continue digging a bit higher, we could potentially return into that SIBI right there in confluence with this last step course candle as the bearish order block. Right? And note how that aligns pretty nicely as well between if we quarter that monthly wick, right? So the midpoint between consequent encroachment and below, like around 25% there, we'd be reaching just a little bit of a mohawk above that to get into the SIBI right there. Okay. Headed down into the daily chart, trading back up now into this bearish breaker. So we have a high, a low, a higher high. We drop down into sell side here below the original consolidation, looking at this as a market maker sell model. And now we're having that bit of a deeper retracement. These were the areas that we were really watching for this week. We are seeing that close today above the high end of the SIBI right here between this candle's low and this candle's high. Not exactly what we wanted to see, but I am allowing for price to trade into this bearish order block as well, which is inside of the bearish breaker. So I would like to see price hold in this area. We could trade all the way up to the high of Tuesday, but ideally remaining below that. If we do trade above Tuesday's high, then we have that weekly SIBI right here. So I'd allow price to trade into there. It's a bit more challenging to call potential turning points when we're having this high resistance run, like we're seeing DXY and the indices moving in tandem together right now. But I would like to see ES form its high and continue to go lower inside of this breaker right here, and ideally for the bodies to remain below the midpoint of the breaker. So even if we wick up into this SIBI or into the midpoint of the monthly wick, I would like to see the candle bodies stay below. I put on the midpoint right here, below the midpoint of the breaker right there. And then if we do start to see closure above, that's when we could potentially be returning higher into the SIBI up here. And then back above the breaker would kind of mix the sell idea for me for now. If we were to get closure back above the breaker, then I'd potentially start looking at how price could trade up toward buy side above these highs up here. I will jump quickly down into the 1 hour chart just to point out a couple things. So here's our, or no, excuse me, right. Friday to Sunday. Okay, yeah. So here's our new week opening gap. Still haven't had sell side delivered in there. So just keep that in mind as a gap. If we do start to make that turning point and run back lower, that's an area that price can draw back into. And then also noting on the regular trading hours, we still have this gap here on the regular trading hours, which has not received buy side or sell side delivery. And so looking for price to trade back up and deliver the buy side there, and then potentially work back off and trade back lower. So this retracement back up into this area does make sense in terms of filling some of these old inefficiencies. But this is the area where we want to start looking for ES to potentially start turning back lower and working down towards sell side if we're going to see that continuation with the dollar aiming higher. That's pretty much it from me here on ES. Same idea really on NASDAQ, right? A little bit of a deeper retracement, just running back up into daily volume imbalance here. And the last up close candle as the bearish order block. I'll just keep in mind the mean threshold of that order block at 14,827.5. You also could see this as your rejection block. This last candle body's high right there, or the close on this right here. So 14,846.5. You can see that right up there. And then we have potentially we could revisit and reclaim this SIBI right here. If we do start to get closure back above that SIBI, that would potentially point toward a higher retracement. So I would like to see price remain on a closing basis inside or below this SIBI. That is it for me. All right.
All good.
Any last thoughts?
Nope, I'm good. I mean, same thing. I think, just first week of the month, monthly candles just opened. You're keen to kind of potentially get a little bit deeper retracements, but I don't think any price action we've seen so far this week has invalidated anything we've been looking for. I think it's just deeper than we probably expected. But other than that, that's it. That's why we don't have to always be right. That's why we let price, tell us what it wants to do, and we get in these areas all the time where we just need a little bit more data, a little bit more data, a little bit more closure, whatever the case may be. So if you do choose to trade for the rest of the week, be safe, be responsible. And that's really it for me. Short and sweet.
Yeah, that covers on my end too. NFP on Friday, so don't be in the markets headed into that event. It's very risky, very potentially dangerous to you, and a gamble all in all. So be responsible, be safe, and we'll talk on Sunday in a regular weekly call.
Sounds good. See you guys on Sunday.
Take care.